Hello, everybody. Robert Douglas here. I'm going to give you another demonstration of SpecKitty today, and this time we're going to do something a little bit different than the last time. Today, I'm going to use the Reseaerch Mission in SpecKitty. I've just made a 6.0 release, 0.6.0 release of SpecKitty, and we beefed up the capabilities of the Reseaerch Mission inside of it. So there are two missions right now. One is software development, one is research. And in the future, there will be even more. But right now, those are the two to exemplify the mission's capability. And the task today is going to be to build a one-pager for my agency in German and in English, both web and PDF. Woohoo! There we go. That's what we like. Both web and PDF to promote me as a SpecKitty consultant and workshop leader. So I want to be able to offer workshops to development teams who want to incorporate something like SpecKitty into their workflow and want to get a head start doing it and avoid common mistakes and pitfalls and draw on my experience. And I want that to be an offer on the website. So here we go. We've got SpecKitty 0.6 already installed. And I'm in a new directory, so I'm going to jump right in this time. SpecKitty init, and I've got to remind myself what the syntax is. There's the mission, genau, exactly. There's the mission flag. So it's SpecKitty init, and we're going to do it here in this directory. Well, maybe mission comes first, or maybe it doesn't matter. Research, and we're going to do it here, and I hope that's right. And we're going to use Claude and maybe OpenCode and maybe Codex again, but mostly I'm going to stick with Claude for the sake of going fast for the demo. Then, okay, everything seems to have initialized just fine. Let's get our dashboard open. There we go. The dashboard is fine. There's a bug. So this is actually my way of testing these new features. This should say that it's the Research Mission. Well, let's keep going and see how that fares. Let's go back to the dashboard. Maybe it doesn't know what mission it's supposed to have. Research. Okay. Well, we'll see if that's the right thing. Maybe I need to button that down so that if that's not an actual mission, it tells me I'm wrong. I need to double check that. Let's try. So the idea here with SpecKitty is that you then go into your coding agent. Dangerous skip permissions. And in my workshops, I'll also show you how you can run this in a Docker container or in a dev container online so that you don't have to, do things like dangerously skip permissions on your laptop, but for the sake of the video, that's what I'm doing. All right, the mission here, in which we lay out with specify, is to, and I've got a couple links open. No, I don't. Let's get it here. Nexus Ion. So this is the site of my agency. This is my agency's website. And this is the software in which I am an expert because I built it. This mission, yeah, sure, is to build a one-pager advertising my offer to run workshops or consult on the topic of specification-driven development using SpecKitty. My ideal target customer is development teams. There go team leaders who want to enhance their existing dev workflows with agentic. And now I see when I'm doing these videos, I really need to go into voice mode, because watching me type that out and talk it out at the same time is just, it's painful for me. So I'm going to see what it takes to get speech to text going for these things. When I'm working on my own, I don't seem to mind as much, but maybe it would be better to do it then too. We'll see. I want as outcomes a one-pager in Markdown, in English, a one-pager in Markdown in German, translated from English, and corresponding PDFs of those pages designed by you using the styles and visual assets from the Nexus ION.com website. Search through and find the colors, fonts, and some images that fit. That's it. That's the spec. That's what I want. What I'm hoping is that Claude will read everything on Nexus ION and everything on the SpecKitty GitHub website, write something that would promote a consultant or a trainer on those topics, put it into an English MD file, translate it to a German MD file, and then generate 2 PDFs from that. Okay. The primary action you want prospects to take after reading this web page. So what's the call to action? Thank you, Claude. That's very important. Yeah, it's A and B. Find the contact details on the Nexus ION website. Again, SpecKitty is designed to be iterative in the specification and planning phases, in particular, because this is where you get to have the best input and effects leverage on how the outcomes of your SpecKitty work goes. What formats do you offer for workshop and consulting? Yeah, I can do both. That's a good question. Remote or in person. And this is really helpful because, like, I would have been all hung up on the messaging and positioning about the product, forgetting that you actually have to close the sale and answer some basic questions. Yes. So that's the specification. Let's come back to our dashboard here. I'm very sad that that it says unknown mission, and I've captured that as a bug report. I'm also, honestly, there we go, a little sad that I had to refresh the page, or that it didn't show the overview until the specification was there. And what SpecKitty does first is it puts the template in place, so you always see the template in place before you see the actual thing that we're waiting for. So after it's done discombobulating, then we'll see this turn into the actual spec, which we'll review. And then we'll go on to the plan phase. Now, the difference between the software development and the research missions is meant to be that the research mission is more geared towards doing internet research and building on findings to answer deep questions and producing reports that have bibliographic citations and references all very nicely organized. So the extra task of having it generate an output like an MD file or a PDF are they fall somewhere in between research and software development, in my opinion, which are the two missions that exist. And probably for something like this, creating a marketing asset, there should be a marketing asset mission. What's holding me back from just going and making a whole bunch of those is that there's a severe overlap with skills. So Claude skills, and I'm yet to do a really deep dive in the skill, but I've got the feeling that missions and skills, the overlap between them has to be very well understood by me in particular before I were bolstering the missions. The reason I created the missions is because when I inherited SpecKit when forking from GitHub, it was adamant that it had to write software, and asking it to do anything else, even just look something up and report on it, was like, hey, I'm told I'm a software developer and that's not a software development task. I refuse. And I was not really happy with that. So let's look at the feature specification for the SpecKitty workshop marketing one pager. Okay, English speaking team leader reviews offering. And yes, I think that these two, whether they're English or German speaking, doesn't so much matter, but they are unfamiliar with SpecKitty. When they read the paper, they're interested in the offering, they review the materials. Yeah, this is all looking really good. And my quick scan of this tells me what I already knew intuitively from experience, and that is that Claude got that perfect. So we're going to do the plan phase. SpecKitty's told to think into it and ask any questions that remain about the implementation. So the difference between the specification and the implementation is that the specification is the outcome you hope to get, and the plan is how it's going to be done. So these will be questions about methodology and implementation tools, such as what technology stack would you like to use for creating the PDFs? You choose. I don't care. Oh, I used the hashtag accidentally. I meant you choose. And that was it. So technical stack, markdown source files for easy editing, styling, templates with next assigned brand, assets extracted from the website, PDF generation, Playwright to render HTML, PDF with full CSS fidelity. Well, that's kind of smart. I would not have thought about doing it that way, but and this is a great opportunity for me to mention that I do not use the Playwright MCP server. Claude's going to use Playwright as a binary on my machine, and it's going to do a way better job as a result. I don't use the MCP server for Playwright. It's a context hog, and it trips Claude up. If you want to do Playwright stuff, just have Claude use Playwright on your machine. Yes, go. All right, so this is the step that takes the longest because Claude has to do all sorts of work. It's going to create the plan. No, I'm talking out of line. It'll create the plan now, and it might do the research. Claude often decides to do the research right off. We'll see if it does it in this research mission. If it does, I need to think about the prompt language a little bit more, because I'm supposed to trigger the research here after reviewing the research tasks. So here's our plan. Again, it's the template first until Claude is done. We'll just wait and we'll go look at it. Okay, so this is instructive to me. Claude's having a hard time finding the research scaffolding. And my thinking, see, I inherited all these scripts from the GitHub team, and I think they are basically good, but I've noticed that it takes the LLMs 4 to 6 API calls per command to figure out where they are and what they're doing. And I would like to make that more efficient and have all of that very clearly spelled out in the context in the command prompt by generating it in advance, with the script, because that's deterministic stuff. This is, making sure a file is on the file path and understanding what directory the agent is currently calling from and giving a path to the right thing. All right, so this was the technical research where Claude's gone into the more specifics based on my guidance about how we're going to get the job done. So basically research into the tech stack, and now it should be working on the actual plan. Now, it's quite possible that Claude could have done this without SpecKitty in a one-shot prompt. I'm demonstrating SpecKitty here because you get a lot of things through this process that are useful in larger, longer software projects. Let's go see what has been made. So this has been made. This is a bit overkill. It's a bit overkill for this task. I will admit that. It's cool. I like reading it. It gives me the warm feeling that Claude's really going to knock this one out of the ballpark, but it's a bit overkill for this task. I'm willing to live with that because I'm more interested in larger projects. So let's say we do it and we like the outcome and we want 10 more that are exactly like this, but on different topics. That's when you can't proceed as a one prompt wonder. You can't just prompt Claude 10 times and expect 10 identical results. You won't get it. It's going to give you a different result every time. This, however, gives the framework that you could follow, and you can say, okay, for the next marketing one pager, it's a different topic, but it's going to use this methodology precisely. And then you'll get a more consistent, if not exactly consistent result. So that's the justification for all of this work. Okay, here's the spec for the marketing one pager now done. Now the specification is the technical this is the plan. I'm misspeaking early in the morning. This is the technical plan. It's decided how it's going to organize its documents. It's how it's going to handle the styling assets. And it's basically a very basic plan. Yeah. So Claude recognized that this is a very relatively trivial task. So the next thing that we'll be able to do is to run SpecKitty tasks. That's what actually takes it from this plan to actionable things that Claude's going to do. Now, it's true that using SpecKitty for everything, like a hammer searching for a nail, is going to lead to some over-engineering for a small task like this. I wanted to try the Reseaerch Mission and see how it holds up compared to the software mission in this video. And I actually need this one pager for the agency. So I'm killing two birds with one stone, three, by making the video. And I'm going to say that this is probably overkill for the very specific task that I needed done today. But I also wanted to get a video out where the whole process is done in less than 2 hours. And let's see, I don't know how long we're going so far, but hopefully this one is going to be more like 30 minutes. And that'll be perhaps easier for me to present to people or cut down to size later. So I've run the tasks command. This does two things, really. This starts to first it creates a task list file where it reasons about breaking down all of the steps into very finite chunks, and then it organizes them into work products that are approximately the right size for one LLM session to handle gracefully. And for each work product, it then writes a starter prompt that directs the LLM towards all of the assets that are needed for the outcome. So, if there are things it needs to read, it points it to them. If it has to read the data model, it points it to the data model. If it needs to read the research, it points it to that. If we had written a constitution, which we didn't, it would point them to that, etc. So these tasks will all appear in the Kanban board. And then we go to town launching agents, doing them, also doing things in parallel if possible. It might be possible with this because there's a translation step, and it might be that the primary research will be done in English, and then everything might be translated to German or vice versa, since Nexus Ion is a German-first website. We'll see. Claude reasons about all of that, and I do what Claude says usually in the tasks plan. Okay, so it looks like the tasks plan just got written. Work package 1, there's always a bit of setup and for the project, making sure that the dependencies are there. Brand asset extraction, very smart that we start by going to the Nexus Ion site. And then we build the HTML template. Then they do the content creation in English, build the script, German translate, and quality assurance. That's great. So here's the dependency and execution summary. So you got to do 1, then 2, 2, then 3. 4 is dependent on 1, which means that 4 can run in parallel with 2 and 3. After you've done 3 and 4, 5 can run, and 6. So 5 and 6 can run at the same time. So the parallelization opportunities are 2 and 4 can be proceed in parallel. After that, and these two can go in parallel after that. See, very nice. Great. Now we're to the point where, oh, it's still, of course, it takes a little bit of extra time then to turn those into startup prompts like this. Wow, that got visually much stronger. Yeah, so this is what a specific prompt for a work product looks like. And at that point, da, 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 we can start another agent. I'm going to stick with Claude. Claude's fast and very dependable. Claude dangerously skip permissions. And I'm just going to get Claude implementing right away because I want to get this done. And I know that 1 and 2 have to be done before we can start 3. So I really want to knock them out of the park. Stop you in the wrong location. Yeah. So technically speaking, it's true. Claude, SpecKitty wants you to move into the work tree and into the actual work tree package that you're working on before doing this. It's another thing that I'm not really super happy about. That's the way SpecKitty works right now. And it'll tell you this. And I had it tightened. I tightened that down to be a little bit more strict because I saw the agents getting very confused about where to do their work, whether they were in the work tree or not. And by moving into the work tree and then starting Claude, it solves that problem beautifully, and you don't have it anymore. So what's other Claude doing? Still working on the prompts. Let's get these guys organized. And it looks like we're not going to use many more than a couple Claudes at once in this video. So, this Claude's getting started. What file? Oh yeah, Claude got confused because the script creates this before removing that. It's another thing that I want to optimize. There's so many things to optimize. The SpecKit way of working is fundamentally good with lots of little rough edges. And I haven't tracked the SpecKit file for the past couple weeks to see if SpecKit is working on any of these same issues. But for me, when I see what the agents actually struggle with, there's still too much overhead. So Claude's now actually doing what it's supposed to. It's supposed, the actual implementation, while this Claude over here is still doing something. And oh, this is another thing. Creating the remaining work package prompts more concisely to save tokens. And then what Claude does is goes and puts it into a subtask, and that somehow rarely comes out as well. So subtasks somehow do not work as precisely well as the main context for me. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just seems like they get an extra prompt that says, do it as fast as you can, or something like that. Especially when you see Claude using this language, you know that Claude is going to do a half-assed job. So sometimes I interrupt that, but I didn't really catch it right away. I think what I'm going to 9 more tool uses. So it's doing all of them at once is the other thing. And it's going to wait till all of those parallel tasks complete. And then we're going to see all of the, whoa, just changed tabs here on you. We're going to see all of these extra things appearing. So Claude's already moved on to the second one, which is nice. And this one's up for review. And if this were done, we could ask another Claude to do another review, but it's not. Okay, well, what we can do for that. We can we can start Codex for review. Codex is my favorite reviewing agent. Oh, I need to set the Codex home. Only have to do this with Codex. And then we can, gosh darn it. Right. That always makes me sign in. When I get more time to think about this, I'm going to investigate doing this differently than SpecKit does it as well, because I don't feel like the codex directory should have the auth file in the project directory, which is what we just did. I think it should be able to get the auth file from your home directory where codex would normally put it and not have to recreate the auth file in the project directory, but that's not where we're at yet. So we want a review, please. So it's going to do SpecKitty review, and I'm just going to tuck this down here or up there, and yeah, get this like this. So we got 3 agents going, 1 reviewing, 2 implementing. This guy's still working on the implementation prompts. Let's see what they're looking like. Well, they're not short, so I'm gonna retract my criticism of Claude. It's got some nice details in there. They the non-English language characters should render. Okay, super. So we've got our entire plan. I can't remember how many tasks were planned here. It was, so it seems like there's probably 1 more coming. And when that one's there, then I'm going to have the other Claude also. This Claude's finished in the meantime, so I'm going to say implement WPO3 and get going on that. Meanwhile, I'm going to remind myself the parallelization opportunity here was 1 and 2 are now done. Now 3 and 4 can go in parallel after. So we could start 4 already in the moment when this guy ever finishes the the prompt. It's taking forever. Still isn't done. We might not get to do our parallelization plan because this Claude's taking too long. Or I could start a new one. Let's start a new one. Why not? So that one's working on WP04. I don't like that about the iTerm user interface. I try to drop it with the toolbar like this, and it thinks I want to resize it. I do not understand what that's good for. All right, so this one's WP04. This is WP03. This one's reviewing. This one's still writing the 7th prompt. So, oh, the 7th prompt is done. Good. The parallelization plan, we've got 4. So 5 can go and 6 can go at the same time, but only after 4 is done. Okay. So we got to wait till 4 gets done at this point. 4's in doing, and none of them are completely done. They need to pass review, and it could be that Codex sends them back to planned if Codex determines that they're not good enough. So what are you doing here? Doing for review. Okay, so now WP03 is also in review. Some weirdness is going on with the agent moving things to planned, again, before it ends up in review. Okay, what we're going to have you do now, buddy, is review WP02 because Codex is being quite slow about it. What are you doing? Oh yeah, I had you doing WP04. I should really figure out how to change these names. It's got to be, I saw it up here. Edit window title, WP04. And this Claude has still not figured out that it's done creating the prompts. Somehow he got on a slow track and just never recovered. No. So this guy here took so long creating the 7 prompts that they've now been done, and he's going back to check his work, and he's like, oh, what? I thought I made those files. They're not there anymore. Yeah, it's because they got moved. So I shut him down. So let's give him different context. So I cleared his context. WP is done. W2 is being reviewed. Something went wrong with WP03. So, well, I've lost the thread of who's doing what around here. This guy was supposed to be reviewing WP01. I'm checking the project directory scripts for definition of done compliance. It's still working. I'm figuring out how to handle updating task formatter. Okay, it did it. Okay, matter on the prompt. It's making sure all the checklists are done one at a time. And it's wondering what the other agents were doing with Git this whole time. I'm going to kill this context too, because it basically did the review and considered that the work package was done. So now I'm going to ask this guy to implement WP03, including, because it's somehow been moved back in, and if anything's been done, it'll see it. This guy's done with WP04. That means we can do 5 and 6 at the same time. Let's get him going on 5. And Codex could review the WP04. Yeah, okay. So move it to done. Oh no, that was WP02. Next steps. What's your problem? Oh yeah, I gave this SpecKitty the implement, but I had forgotten that he's not in the work tree. So now we are. And what do we need to do? I need a way better way of tracking which windows are doing what, because I'm sitting here getting quite confused in front of y'all. Doesn't it say in the prompt which work package that was? No. Oh no, because I just told it to review and nothing else. All right, so that would be reviewing this. This guy's doing WP05 now. Let's do that cool trick where we edit the window title. That helps me here. I had wanted this guy to do WP03 because I cannot for the life of me figure out why that got moved back to the planned lane. And I think you can go on to WP06. So what I'm noticing in doing this demo for you is that this is understandable to me. This is nonsense to me. Now, I like to babysit these guys and make sure that they're on the right path. You know, they give us the thinking that they're doing, and sometimes, you know, sometimes it's entertaining, like interesting. It shows that it was moved to review, but the file is still in the plan directory. And yeah, so Claude is as confused as I am as to how that one ended up where it is, but Claude's going to figure it out for me. So in terms of overview, this works for me, and it's updating in real time, as you can see, like that. But this is also important because they ask you questions and you see what they're thinking. And I would like to be able to do the orchestration more from here, like drag and drop, or have some sort of actual user interface here. So I think a future version of SpecKitty is going to have a more full-fledged web app experience here, not just a dashboard experience, but like this is where you actually coordinate things from. Let me know if you have an opinion on that. All right, the question here is, cannot start WPO dependencies. Okay, the English content's not done. Okay, I got ahead of myself. We're going to wait for that. And this guy's still busy reviewing, but the reviews are coming out pretty well. Codex is really a sticker. If Codex thinks that they're done and has moved them to done, then they're very much done. We'll repurpose this one to do that one. WPO5. And look at that. There are 2 copies of that in the interface there. I'm going to have to look at why. Oh, you were doing WPO5, right? You put that here. You can go on and do WPO6 now. This is the one using Playwright. We might see browsers popping up here. No, they're doing it in the background. So as you can see, things are moving along. We will get done with this process and have something to investigate. Now, if we wanted to, and who wouldn't want to do this, we could open this all up in VS Code and see what's going on the file system. Now, everything's in the work trees at the moment. So if you open this up and see no actionable code and you're surprised, don't be. It's all in the work trees. So the output here, they've got oh, we've already got a PDF. Cool. Got some templates. So that's already pretty cool. We've got some PDF pings, PNGs to look at, including a preview version of what we're looking for here. Now, I'm starting to doubt the methodology of using Playwright and generating a PDF from that. I hope that it's an actual PDF and not just an image with, selectable text. If not, shame on me for not thinking into that. We'll see how it goes. Okay, great. Or keep going. WPO3 is ready for review. You're doing WPO6, and that means you can do WPO7 now. Well, 007. Good. Moving right along here. Let's go take another look here at the results. Reveal in Finder. Aha. Okay. So that is not branded, other than that. And the logo is missing. I'm going to expect that the one pager in German is equally blanco. Now, that's not what the agents were expecting. They were expecting something like this, clearly. Because this is the template PDF that they created. And it indeed does have selectable text. So we'll see. We'll see if they think they've done the job well enough. I think that there's something missing still. And I'm going to use an available agent to actually, well, I'm not going to use this guy. For this, I'm going to move into a turn here. Claude dangerously skip. So read the work tree 01 spec kitty specs and criteria, and then tell me if this, which is unformatted, is what was expected, or if it was meant to have formatting like this. So notice I didn't tell it that it's wrong. I asked it a question that it has to answer, which should lead it to realizing that it was wrong. If I give it the answer right away, then it knows the answer. It doesn't have to do any research. If I ask it a question, it's got to go do the research. Excuse me. All right, so we're slowly wrapping this process up. I think this one's the WP07. That's this one being done. That one's now in for review. This one's wrapping up the review of a previous one, which passed. And this one's debugging. Based on my review, it's not what was expected. It should have had formatting, like the template. Yes. Okay. Can you recreate Y and find the bug? So I'm not going to do this in SpecKitty anymore. We're close to being done. SpecKitty did a great job, if not a little bit of an over-engineered job, but I think we're very close to having a PDF in this format with that content, which is what I wanted. And somewhere, I thought I asked for MD files as well. Here they are. So here's the actual content. If I wanted to review the content on its own, I'd be able to do it here. And I'm going to do this after the video because the video was all about the process, not necessarily my consulting and training offer. But you can see how I would then be able to go in here and then recreate these PDFs as often as I wanted based on this. Yeah. So in the meantime, these are both in for review. Let's get this guy doing a review. SpecKitty review. Speed that up a little bit. And you should also agent ID reviewer, agent reviewer. I've got no idea. I think I have to actually say WP07, please, for it to take WP07. Codex is very weird. The slash commands work. All of the other prompting tools, TUIs like Claude and OpenCode, they work a little bit better, in my opinion, with the slash commands. The slash commands in Codex feel like an afterthought. Like we've got to keep up with Anthropic type of thing. There we go. So it's reading the right one. Those will be done in a second. That one's done here. That means if we look at our English one-pager, it's still not. What's it telling me? Build pipeline works perfectly, but it's generating a plain PDF because the brand asset extraction produced incorrect placeholder colors. Okay. Did you fix the bug and regenerate the PDFs? And it's nice that they've given me an npm command that I can go and just run in the terminal later. Yeah, okay. Thank you. You did exactly what I said. You analyzed and documented the bug. That's actually perfect. That's what I asked you to do. Now let's regenerate them. So we're close to the end of the video. To wrap this up, when that's in there, I'm going to also do the analyze and merge steps, because it's if we look, the merge step is especially important because right now everything's in this work tree. If you don't run the merge step, you don't have anything in your main directory. You got to run the merge step. So for those of you who watch to the end of the video, that's your golden nugget of SpecKitty learning. You've got to run the merge step. Otherwise, you don't get the goods in your main directory. You'll have it stuck in this work tree forever and ever. Let's see if that did anything. Oh, that's hideous. Okay, so clearly I've got a little bit more work to do on this beyond beyond this video. How did it do this one? That's almost nice. I mean, I say almost with the most love that I can possibly have in my heart for how bad it really is. But I still haven't cracked the nut in getting these agents to make good looking things, which is for me a particular problem because I'm also not good at it. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe I needed to give it all sorts of guidance on what colors I actually wanted and stuff like that, rather than just go look at the website and take it from there. Anyway, I'm going to end everything here now. You've gotten the main idea. There's very little more that I can tell you about SpecKitty in this video that would enlighten you. So thanks for watching and bye.